Hi, thank you for joining me for today's process video, and today I'm documenting a 4x6 photo of Amelia from back in October 2016, and I just fancy playing with some mixed media. It's been a while since I've used any texture paste, so I've pulled out one of my favourite Tim Holtz stencils from Stampendous for doing this technique, and my texture paste again from Tim Holtz, and I'm just pushing it through this stencil. It's like a bubble wrap sort of effect. Distress circles, I suppose, and I just really like the look that gives to a page. So you saw at the beginning I laid my photo down and added some pencil marks just so that I had a very rough idea of where it was going to sit on the page. I want to create a nice big cluster on the left hand side, and then the photo with the photo mats and things on the right hand side. Now those pencil marks, couldn't really see through the stencil, and I went and just added the texture paste everywhere without paying much regard for those pencil marks, but it probably helped me with my muscle memory just adding that at the beginning so I knew roughly where the photo was going to go. So you can see I'm adding plenty of texture paste all over, and even though I thought I'd gone way too wide, most of it does get covered up by the bits and pieces that I add to the page, so I must remember that always go out further than I think I need to because by the time I've added mats and layers, things get much bigger. So this photo is of Amelia wearing my coat to a rugby league final match at Old Trafford. She and my dad, her dad, her uncle and cousins had gone to watch the match, and it was a bitterly cold day. And I got home to see her coat hanging up on the peg, and I thought, oh no, how could they have gone without taking her coat? And it was a quick phone call to her dad, and he sent me this photo, and she had my coat on, and they hadn't even noticed. They said they thought it was a little bit big for her, and they rolled up the sleeves. I mean, Amelia at this point was 9, and I'm quite big, so it's just crazy that they thought that coat was okay for her. Anyway, I've pulled out my Lindy's Magicals. I just love these powders, and I haven't played around with them nearly enough. So you saw there, I added some to the left-hand side and then added the water to activate them, and then just splattered it onto the mixed media, onto the texture paste, just to get it roughly placed on the page. And then I'm just using my paintbrush and my water spritzer to blend that around the texture paste areas. I'm flicking some on now, watered it down a little bit more, and then I want to come in with some gold as well. Amelia's got her rugby top on underneath that coat, and Warrington Wolves colours are blue and gold, so I just wanted to sort of echo that in the colours that I'm using on the layout today. So here's one of the gold. This is Marigold something or other. Sorry, I don't know the names. And all of these are either from sets of Lindy's Magicals, or they're the individual pots that we sell as well. They're all available at Hey Little Magpie. So just blending some of that gold powder in, and you can see it's creating almost like a greeny gold, but as it dries, it gives this beautiful, almost copper feel to the page. So just adding some of that. I've also pulled out another goldy colour, you can see at the top there, which I will be adding as well, but I'm just at this point just adding some flicks some splatters around the areas that I've created here, and I will have to leave this page to dry. It's really getting quite wet with all the water that I'm spritzing onto it, but that's fine. It's a little bit buckled, but it'll even out in the page protector. I'm not too worried. So blending a bit more and adding a bit more, and I will stop in a minute, but it's just a slow process just to create these two areas that I want to use for my photo and also for a mat of embellishments. So I'm blending all inside this area, and of course that's all going to be covered, but it's part of the fun, I guess. So just blending that a little bit more with that little paintbrush, and then I shall leave that all to dry. So while that's drying, I'm going to work on my photo, so you can see I write all the details in the back. If I pre-print these photos, but I'm not ready to scrap yet, I'll just write the details, and then I've got them when I'm ready to scrap. So today is another layer pulling out all my scraps. So I pulled out some blues and some yellows, as I mentioned, because those are the Warrington Wolves colours. We're a rugby league team in Warrington, so they're those colours. And just distressing the edges of that first mat, And then I'm going to create another couple of mats, one in yellow and one in a black diagonal stripe. And I'll layer the photo onto that. So pulling out this bright yellow, which is a perfect match for the Warrington Wolves yellow. And just cutting a 4x6 card here to layer behind. And then I'm going to grab, as I say, that diagonal stripe. This is from Simple Stories Lakeside. If you've watched me for a while, you know that we had a sale on these papers and this one didn't sell in the sale, so I just nabbed it for myself. So I've got a few sheets of this and I'm trying to eke it out because I love it. So that mat was about 4.5 by 6.5, just slightly bigger than the yellow one. And you can see there I'm going to offset them against one another. And as I mentioned, it covers nearly all of that texture paste that I put down. But there you go, one of those things. It still peeks out in little areas and I've no regrets about doing it. So start distressing the edges with my fingernails, but then do search for the edge distressor and just get those distressed, and then I can pop that down on the page and then continue to embellish. So I've got an idea what I want to do with that left hand side. It does come together relatively quickly. It was the mixed media that took the time, and in the end I actually added the page onto the floor. We've got underfloor heating here, so that helped dry it a little bit quicker. So I'm just going to cut a little strip of this navy blue and pop that down the left hand side. I'm going to bring some trims in. It's a real textured page, this. I was so happy with the end result. So there's that strip, and then I'm going to cut a small 3x4 card to pop next to that in this black and white, just to bring that black and white over to the left hand side as well. And then here's some trim. So that's the white circle lace that we sell at Hey Little Magpie, and then I'm going to bring in the navy pom-pom. And just cutting 2 strips, not being too precise. They're just smaller than that first paper strip, and that's all that mattered really. And then I've got these, I think they were Bow Bunny doilies. They came in a huge pack, so I'm using a couple of those. And then my Serenity chipboard and ephemera pieces. I just wanted to see if there was anything here that I could use. And I do find a little chipboard title that says Stay Calm and Breathe. And then another chipboard tag, which I'm going to add to the left-hand side, and that can hold my title. So just looking through. Oh yes, I also found a little tab to go at the top. So I think that's pretty much it. Just adding a craft tag as well. At this point I think they're going to hold my date, but in fact I used something else in the end for the date this time. And then I found a navy ticket to add to the top there. Just wanted a few layers at the top behind, and because I've added one to the top of the photo, I'm going to add one to the top of that cluster on the left hand side as well. So here's that tag that I'm going to use. And then this was in my scraps, and it's a fabulous Pink Fresh Studio paper full of different phrases. And this one says documented the chaos of real life, and I thought that worked nicely with this picture. So it's bringing that yellow over to the left, and it just works really nicely there. So I'm going to start sticking these bits down, starting with that strip and then this big card, and I'm going to pop the doily behind that, just distressing the edges a little bit, and add some more ATG behind. Have to make sure that you have plenty of glue when you're sticking over the top of texture paste and things. So that tag's going to go roughly there. So then I want to add the trims, and I start by adding the glue to the blue polka dot, but then remember that I want to put the white down first. So I just bob that to one side, add the white, and then come back in with that polka dot. It takes a few attempts to get these stuck down, but once they're secure, they're there. Particularly the pom-pom trim, I think because it's a nylon, it doesn't want to stay. You just have to keep wrangling, adding a bit more glue as needed. You can see at the top it doesn't want to stick, so I'm just going to add a bit more up there, and then later on I do have to add a bit more to the bottom as well. So here's that ticket. Just add some glue to that. And of course that lovely phrase. And that title. Realising that the photo is not particularly stuck down well, so just adding a little bit more to that. Just getting all these bits and pieces stuck down. That Love This More piece is also from the Serenity from 49 Market. Bits and pieces that I have left over. So just getting that glued down. I will add some twine to that later on, but I just want to get the bare bones of the layout down first. So now coming in with the ephemera pieces from the Colour Swatch Ochre collection, just to bring a little bit more yellow in. So just sticking those 2 tabs down. I've got a yellow ticket in the left hand cluster, so I'm going to bring one into the right hand cluster as well. Just getting that title stuck as well. Think about that piece, but then I find one with chevrons on, so I just cut a strip off that and add that to the bottom, and that's where I'm going to add my date. So lots of diagonal stripes on this page, which bring me great joy. A little ticket. This is just going to peek out of the bottom, a tiny bit going to peek out, so I do cut that in half. And then I've got the other half for a future layout. So getting these bits stuck down now. Sometimes I have to go in a couple of times to get things stuck down. Like I say, when you're sticking onto texture paste, it takes a little bit more effort. So here's another yellow piece that I wanted to add to the top here, and it's got a tag hole as well, so it's great because it means I can add some twine, and that really changes the feel of the layout. So just getting that glued down. And I know I want to add the journaling on here, so I'm just having a look to see if there's anything that I'd like to use for journaling, but I don't see anything. So I go into my black and white scraps paper and I find this lovely newsprint one. So I'm just cutting a chunk of that. I'm going to use my notebook punch. I'm sorry, I went off screen. I hadn't realised that I was off screen when I was punching that, but it's just the EK Success rounded notebook punch that I used to punch across the bottom of that paper. It was a little bit too wide, so just trimmed a little bit off, and that's going to go down here. And it did make me a little bit sad that I was covering all of that beautiful mixed media, but it had to be done. I needed some journaling. So just roughing up those punched edges, and then I'm going to add my guidelines to add my journaling. And it just says about the fact that they'd taken my coat for Amelia for the rugby. So now using my roller date stamp to add the date there on the left hand side. It was the 8th of October 2016. And here's where I'm just adding a bit more glue to that pom-pom trim, and then I'm coming in with some of these beautiful chevrons from JD 3D Print. Just popping them down there, pointing to the photo just to bring a little bit more emphasis to that photo. One more. I do like using these chevrons in groups of 3. They just work really nicely. And then these very old Adorn It little letter stickers. Sorry, I couldn't think of my words then. And I'm just writing out, "That's not your coat." And that's my title. And that works really nicely on that chipboard tag. I was very pleased with that. So now into these small talk stickers from Tim Holtz. I just wanted to find a couple to add to the bottom of the page, and I do find that black one says XOXO, and then I find a white one that says laugh. That is stick down there. It will come back out in a minute, but first of all I'm just digging through my drawers to see what I've got, and I find this Jen Hadfield sticker book, and there's a little blue heart with a rainbow on, so I'm just going to add that down at the bottom there as something extra. And then I also spot a little border with hearts, silver holographic hearts, so I add that along the bottom there as well. These are some really old Amy Tangerine epoxy stickers, and I found a navy one that says pure happiness, and Amelia does look so happy in this picture. I'm just going to add that at the bottom of the photo there. and then another one which is a lovely black heart. At the first I'm thinking at the top there, and then I stick it to the bottom, but I do change that later and switch it back up to the top. I just think it works better with the balance of the page. So some twine, as I mentioned, this is just a dark purple. It works nicely with all the colours on the page. So adding it first to the chipboard tag here, and I'm just going to use my tiny attacher to staple that down. And then secondly, so that top yellow tag here, and I'll just leave it to trail down behind the photo between the mats, and then I'll staple it at the top just to keep it in place. I do faff a little bit, get there in the end. Gosh, yes, I really do faff, don't I? This is where I staple it at the top just to hold it in place, and then tuck those ends a little bit more. So these are some Pink Fresh puffy stickers that we were handed when we went to CHA. I think it was the same year actually, 2016. And one of them says #Let's Go. So I thought that would be nice to add to that craft tab. And now I'm just finding something to add to that navy blue tab at the top. And in the end I find a little smile sticker, but it does leave a gap on the left hand side. So I go back into my drawer and find a lovely black heart and just an enamel heart to add to that left hand side. And here I move that black epoxy heart up to the top. I'm much happier with it being up there. Just tuck that in, and that's it. I hope this has provided some inspiration. Thank you so much for joining me. I shall see you again soon. Bye.